Hello, everybody. Welcome to another new webinar. It's nice to see you all joining us again. I am Rick from the TaxDome team, and I will be guiding you through today's session. And it is a long session. We're going to have a lot of good stuff to talk about today. So feel free to say hi in the chat if you'd like. Now, today we're going to be talking about all the ways to communicate with your clients through TaxDome. Now, this means we're going to cover everything from emails to the mobile apps. So strap yourself in, make yourself comfortable, get that cup of coffee, and let's go. Also, as always, we've got our support team with us. So just send us any questions you have in the Q&A section on the right, and the team will be happy to clear things up for you. All right, I see you all coming in, so we can get started by taking a look at our agenda for today, and then we're going to get into the portal very soon after. Okay, so here it is. We'll start by talking about the different ways you're able to talk to your clients and breaking down the differences. After that, we'll go into a deep dive on those features to help you understand how to actually use them, starting with emails. And after we cover everything about them, we'll move on to our secure messages. Those two sections will take a while, but once we cover them, we'll get into the other types of communication you can have with users, meaning via firm announcements, organizers, and automations. Now, it's a very tightly focused webinar today, so I'm sure everything will flow smoothly. Also, thanks to your feedback, we will take quick breaks between the topics today to give everybody a couple of seconds to catch their breath and also to take some time to get any questions you might have in the Q&A. So we're going to do that throughout the day. You're going to notice that a little different. So thank you again for your feedback on previous webinars. We really appreciate it. Okay, currently, your two main ways to communicate with your clients will either be through emails or via our secure messages. We'll go into more details about them, but at a base level, you can think about them in this way. Emails in TaxDome will work similar to the way you're used to them working for decades outside of TaxDome. The advantage of emails here is that you get to connect your email to the portal, and that way you get to send out emails directly from within the portal, see incoming emails from your clients, and take advantage of a shared inbox so you and your entire team can see each other's conversations with your clients without needing to forward anything. Secure messages, on the other hand, are sent through the portal and are primarily accessed through it or through the mobile app. Once again, there are a couple of levels to this that we'll delve into in a little bit, but the important difference is that the communication is done fully through TaxDome, which gives you an easy way to keep track of everything and have everything be as secure as you want it to be. Very soon, there will be a third option. We're currently working on SMS integration, meaning the ability to send and receive SMS messages to your clients directly through the portal. Now, we teased this some time ago, but we're getting very close to a release. So for now, we won't spend time talking about it, but once the feature itself gets released, we will have content ready that will go over all of it, and we will post about it very soon. So please keep an eye out for that. And lastly, we also have firm announcements. These allow you to set up a message that will be visible on all your clients' homepages and in the mobile app. It's a great way to let them know of any major changes, or even if something you're wanting to do, like taking some time off, it's a great way to let them know. Now again, before we move into our first major discussion point, let's take a second here to remind you and everyone that joined us a little bit late that our Q&A section is available for everyone who has any questions for us. Our team is ready to answer those for you. So this will be our first short little break. I'll give you all a couple of moments and then we will proceed. Okay, everyone, so let's get into the main event now. We are going to start with the emails, but let's break it down into separate points. We'll begin by showing you how to connect your email to TaxDome and what the other settings that you'll see in the same menu actually do. After that, we'll take a look at how the email templates work and how the emails are structured inside of TaxDome. Then we'll jump right into the steps to send out emails and how that works, while also showing you how it will look once you receive emails from the clients. And last, we will go over the ways to access your conversations, save them, and even mute threads if necessary. All right, now that we know what we're going to be doing, let me just open up my portal here and share that with you. Okay, so here we go. We've got that all set up. If you haven't done this yet, try to follow along since it is quite simple. So first up, let's set the email sync up. We'll go into the settings page from the left sidebar, and we don't have to travel much further here. Over here on the right, you will see a section simply titled Email Sync. This is where you will want to enter your primary email address that you use to communicate with your clients. Now, we already talked about what the email sync is in an earlier webinar, but let me make sure that we're all on the same page here. The email sync function lets you connect an email address that allows you to send emails to your clients through the portal. In addition to that, this lets you see new incoming emails and also your past conversations, all while filtering out any emails that aren't tied to your clients' email addresses. So to make this work, you need to enable the email sync for yourself, but also for your clients. Now, if you do recall, during your client import, there were 3 toggles that you can enable for your clients, and one of those was the email sync toggle. If you followed our advice, then everything is already set up correctly for your clients and you don't need to worry about this at all. But if it is disabled for somebody and you want to see their emails, then just make sure to toggle it back on. Now let's head back to the settings again. Now keep in mind that you can only connect one email address per user. This is very important. So if you have any team members, they will all connect their own email addresses. Now, there's a cool thing about this that I'll show you very soon, but let's focus on connecting things first. Once you enter your email address, you will want to hit this button right here that says Sync Your Email. This will start the process, and you'll need to do a couple more quick steps, but nothing really complicated, so don't worry about that too much. You'll first need to log into the email account, and then, depending on which email provider you're using, you will have some slightly different steps. Some might not require anything, others will need you to tick a couple of boxes to provide access rights, and some will need something a bit more specific like an app password or host addresses and numbers. Even if your case is the last one, it is still not difficult to handle. We will post a help article in the webinar chat in just a second for you. I'll also open it up here as well, just so you can see the different cases. We have all the instructions you'll need here, so just take a look at the link if you are unsure of what you need to do. Anyhow, back to my own process here. I'll just finish this setup very quickly here, and it will redirect me back to my portal. Back in my settings page, I will see that the email address is now synced. I'll also just point out that you can unsync the email address at any point by using the Stop Email Sync button. Okay, now that that's all done, you'll also see something else here. There are 2 new toggles that appeared in this section. In most cases, we recommend enabling both of them. The first one is pretty straightforward. If you enable it, TaxDome will automatically save any attachments into the client uploaded documents folder of that person's account. So you won't need to spend time looking through a bunch of email threads for an attachment, but instead you'll easily find it among the other uploaded files. Now, if you prefer not to enable it, you won't encounter any issues and you'll still be able to manually save the attachments at any point in time. The other toggle that says allow others to send from my email is necessary for 2 separate actions. First, let me just mention something regarding the email sync. I already explained that you'll be able to see both new and old email conversations in TaxDome, or more specifically, inside the client's account, since there is an email tab there for easy access. those emails aren't just available to you. If your whole team's emails are synced, then any team members that you gave access to that client's account will be able to see all the emails exchanged with the client as well. This way, if multiple team members have been interacting with them, there's no need to CC somebody or forward those emails onto the rest of the team. They'll all be visible for your team inside the client's account. So in other words, you will have a shared inbox for each client. So let's get back to the toggle now. Now, why is this important? Well, it lets your other team members choose who the sender will be. This means that if your client is waiting on you for something, but you don't want to look like somebody else has taken over the conversation, guess what? Your team can simply select you as the sender, and the client won't know who actually sent it to them. That's pretty cool, I think. So if you want to take vacation and have somebody send emails on your behalf, it's all set up for you. So an example of this could be something like wanting to send all emails through a specific email address, maybe something like info@yourfirm.com. Well, then moving forward, regardless of who from your team is composing an email, they could select that address as the sender. Now, the other purpose of this toggle is related to the templates. As in the case for many other elements in TaxDome, you can create templates for your emails. You can find those in the Templates tab right up here, or more specifically under the Emails sub-tab. Now here you can either create new ones from scratch, or you can copy some from our library and then edit them to suit your needs. Now, for the sake of keeping this brief, I'll just use one of the templates that I have here just to clear this all up. Now, there are several things that we should talk about while we're here, but first things first. The toggle from earlier is important because in each email template, you want to determine the sender. There's a field for it here, and you won't appear in the list of senders unless you enabled that toggle. The main reason for you to enable the Send on My Behalf toggle is in order to make the email automations work. Now, we'll talk later about how you set up automations, but for now, let's say you set up your pipeline and you already added a bunch of email automations to it. TaxDome would try to send out those emails as soon as your client job reaches the stage. However, without a sender that has the aforementioned toggle enabled, those emails wouldn't be sent out and you'd end up getting an error that asks you to actually enable it. The reason is because all emails that you send through TaxDome look like normal emails that come from your selected addresses. They're not being sent from a generic TaxDome email. They will come directly from you. The clients cannot tell them apart from an email that you wrote and sent manually. So, to reiterate, you need a sender for this purpose. If you don't select one, TaxDome simply won't be able to send out emails automatically. Therefore, we recommend enabling that toggle. Now let's get back to the template from a moment ago. This is the best place to familiarize yourself with the tools you have available when writing emails. Frankly, I don't think we need to go over the basics since I'm quite confident that you're all more than capable of writing emails, of course. Instead, I'm going to go over the points that you're likely unfamiliar with. At the top of the template, you will see an option to choose the mode you want to use. This will affect two things: the shortcodes that will be available to you and the way the email will be sent to your clients. I'm going to explain both, starting with the latter. If you leave it on the account mode and you send an email to an account with multiple contacts linked to it, such as a business or a married couple, you will send out one email and all the contacts will be CC'd on it. Alternatively, if you set it to the contact mode, you will send out individual emails to each of the contacts linked to the account. Therefore, if there are 5 contacts, you will send 5 emails instead of 1. Now, it may seem a bit pointless initially, but it does come with an advantage of its own. Shortcodes in TaxDome are dynamic fields that you can enter, and then that information gets replaced with the relevant client information. So for example, let's add one here to the start of this template. I'm going to click on the shortcode button and I'll see a list of available shortcodes. If you choose the account mode, then you'll see account and date shortcodes. However, if you select the contact mode, then you'll see all the contact shortcodes as well. This way, you basically expand your selection of shortcodes at the cost of sending separate emails. The only other thing I want to point out here are these two options. They basically determine how you get to format your text. The first one stands for what you see is what you get. That's the basic text editor that you'll see right here. You get access to the tools, and however you format it is right here. That's how your client will see it once you send it out. The other option is HTML. This is a more flexible tool set, which gives you more control over your text formatting and content, but it's not as intuitive since you're expected to paste the finished HTML code for it here instead of using different tools here. So if you require more complex text editing tools than what you get with the basic editor, you'll need to use some site like Word HTML. Now I'll pull it up here on the screen just for you to take a look. It lets you format text freely and then generates the HTML code for you that you can simply copy and paste into TaxDome. Now, we will send the link to this site in the chat just like before. So if this is something you think you're going to need, please make sure you actually save this for future use. Now, generally, you won't need to use this for your emails, but it's good to know that you have the option just in case that need arises. So that's it when it comes to editing the templates, but let's quickly take a look at one more thing since it uses these same formatting functions. I'll head back to the first tab in the settings page, the one where we enabled email sync a little earlier on. Right underneath the stop email sync button, you'll find a spot where you can add your email signature. So you can either select the what you see is what you get option and enter it normally, or if you require some very specific formatting, you can use the HTML option. Either way, once you enter it here, it will be automatically added at the end of every email that you send out or that is sent out on your behalf. So if you're already using an email signature, make sure to recreate it here in TaxDome. All right, we just went over a lot of things and we still have more to go. So let's take a moment here to recap these last couple of points because you'll likely visit the templates tab very often here. It's easier to digest this when we simplify it like this. You can send emails on behalf of your team members without using your own email address. You can change modes to send emails a different way and also to get different customization options. You have 2 text formatting options available to you. And finally, you can set up your own email signature in your settings so that it gets added to all of your emails. Okay, everybody, as promised, we're going to take a short break here just for a couple of seconds. I'm going to prepare some stuff for the upcoming topics. And in the meantime, take the chance to get your questions into the Q&A. Our team is standing by and we are ready to provide you with those answers. So I'm going to give you a little time right now. Okay, everybody, short little break is over, so let us get back to work. Now we can get into the practical part that you'll be doing regularly. I'll show you how to actually start sending emails, and there are a couple of ways, but we're going to focus on the 2 main ones for now. The quickest way to get an email out is from your trusty plus new menu. Open it up from the left sidebar and then select the email option. A new menu will slide out from the right, And you can then either compose a new email from scratch or use a template if you already have one. The tools you have available here are mostly the same as in the actual template. You can change up the mode right here, choose the sender, format the text, and shortcodes. However, you have a couple more options now. First, you can attach files from here. You couldn't attach them directly to the template, so instead you add it as you're about to send out the email. Another option is to schedule the email to be sent at a different date and time. Just enable this toggle and select when you want it to be sent out. If you click on the send button after setting up the date and time, it won't send it out right away, so don't worry about it. The last new option here is this button right here that will let you send out a preview to yourself. Now this is really convenient to confirm how something will look from the client's point of view. So if you did a lot of formatting, well, it certainly is best to check it before you send it out, just to make sure everything looks right. So that's the quickest way to send out emails, but it does have one drawback. If you need to send it to a lot of people, it takes time to select them this way. Therefore, you'll use the second method for this situation. You'll go to your clients page. Select the clients you want to send the email to by ticking the boxes on the left of them, and then use the Send Email button. It will open up the exact same menu you saw a couple of moments ago, but you won't need to select your clients here. In a previous webinar, we gave you an example of a way you can use this bulk emailing function. You can filter your clients list to display only specific accounts. So, for example, all your bookkeeping clients or everyone that has a pending organizer. And then you select all of them by ticking the top box here on the left. That way you can send out a bulk email to all of them really fast. You can also use the same method for more general emails, such as holiday emails or something similar. Just remember that in case you find yourself writing similar emails very often, make a template for it. The amount of time that it saves you really adds up over time, so make sure to take advantage of those templates. There's also one more method to send emails that we brought up a little earlier, which was sending them through pipeline automations. But we'll get back to that one a little bit later after we cover the secure messages. So we're almost done with email. So let's take a look at two functions that you can find in the same place. So first, let's open an account that we have exchanged some emails with in the past. Once it's open, I'll head to the email tab that I mentioned a little earlier in the webinar. Here you'll see all your email conversations, but they'll be split into received and sent ones. So you can go into the different tabs if you're looking for certain ones. Now the reason why I came here was to show you two different functions, but also to explain how the emails are shown right here. I already went over the fact that any emails you send through TaxDome will appear as any emails that you would normally send directly through your email provider. This is because the email sync works like a sort of bridge between the portal and your email. So you'll be able to see any sent emails from TaxDome in the sent box directly in Outlook, Gmail, whatever email provider that you happen to use. The other thing this affects is the way the emails are shown inside TaxDome. You can view all your email conversations with clients, but they're not stored in TaxDome. If you were to go into Gmail, for example, and delete an email from a client, it would disappear in TaxDome as well. So you will see all the emails for as long as your email address remains synced, and of course, as long as the emails are present in your provider. Now back to the point of us being here now. If you want to save an email, you can click on the three dots on the right of it and then select the print option. This way, you can save the email as a PDF document. Additionally, if you have the Windows app installed and open, you can print it directly to TaxDome, and that way you can save it inside the client's folder. And we talked a lot about how the app works in our Documents webinar. So if you haven't installed the app yet, I'd certainly recommend checking it out and learning how the app is going to help you. In most cases, it won't be necessary to save your emails unless you regularly delete them from your main inbox, but still want to access them later on. But if you do need to do it occasionally, it is good to know that you can use this print function to save them for later. Next, we have this other option here in this same menu that says Mute. I mentioned earlier that you'll be receiving notifications in your Inbox Plus about new emails. However, if you prefer to stop getting notified about some email threads, then you'll want to just mute the thread and you won't get any notifications about it any longer. So that covers most things related to emails. There was a lot that we went over here, and we'll switch our sites to the secure messaging very soon. But for now, let me give you all a couple of seconds to get any questions into the Q&A. We'll take a second to allow you to write down any notes that you have. And if you're doing that, we'll give you a few moments and then we'll get back to work. So go ahead and do that. But one more thing, we're always looking to improve these webinars. So if you do have a moment, consider leaving us some feedback a little later on. We really do appreciate it, and it does help everybody. So let's pause here for a moment. Let's let everybody catch their breath, and then we'll continue in a few seconds. All right, everybody, recess time is over, so let's shift our focus to our secure messaging. Just like we did with the emails, we're going to break this down into a couple of smaller sections, into bite-sized chunks here for you. Thankfully, since a lot of the functions work very similarly to emails, this part of the webinar will be much shorter here. We're going to start this off by going over how you'll interact with the messages and also how they're organized in your portal. Right after that, we're going to touch more upon some additional features that the messages have, such as the security control and client tasks. Then we're going to wrap up this part by showing you how they work from a client's perspective. So let's dive in. Let's get started. We spent a large chunk of time talking about the emails, so you should have a good understanding of how they all work by now. The good news is that the secure messages work almost the same way in certain aspects, but also don't require the initial setup steps. Creating templates is even more simplified. Sending messages out via the plus new menu, bulk actions, or automations involve the same steps needed for emails, and as for your conversations, they will be accessible in the portal and split into different threads for easier organization. Now, the best way I can show you some of the differences will be by opening a chat with a client. I can find them in the Communications tab of the client under the Chats tab. Here, you can also see an SMS tab, but as I mentioned before at the start of the webinar, this isn't available just yet, but it's coming soon, so keep an eye out for that. Now, anyhow, on the left, I can see the threads here, and I can open any by simply clicking on them. As you can tell right away, the interface here is different and is appropriately a lot more chat-like. Speed is one of the main advantages of the secure messages, or as I'll refer to them moving forward, chats. We'll call them chats from now on. That's just easier to say. Communication by email tends to be rather slow in most cases, and this gives you a great alternative. Not only are you able to communicate freely with the client, but your other team members can also enter the conversation whenever necessary. You can tell if your client saw your messages or not, since there are these little check marks that turn green if they saw the message. And you can easily also add images and videos to the conversations, which is a great little feature. Think about how convenient this last point is. You'll likely be onboarding a ton of clients to a new client portal. Of course, we made it very easy to use and have tons of resources available for them. But in case you need to help out a client, well, you can just send them one of our videos right in the chat that will explain whatever they need help with. We've got you covered. This way, they wouldn't even need to leave the portal for a second or download any attachments. You can send them directly to people. This isn't the only case, though, where this can come in handy. So I'm sure that you're already thinking of some cases where this could have really helped save you a lot of time and save you a bunch of headaches. And the advantages don't even stop here. All the chats are stored inside your portal. So you have some additional tools. You can print the chats, archive them if necessary, or filter the chats if you're looking for specific ones. The other couple of things that you'll greatly benefit from are the client tasks and reminders. To add client tasks, you can just click on the Add Task button, write what you need, and your client instantly has a small to-do list for them to check off. What these tasks will be is completely up to you. If you want to use it to keep track of whether or not they've uploaded everything you need or have them confirm something that's completely different, the option is there for you. On top of this, regardless if you're just waiting for a reply or for the client to complete their tasks, you can enable automatic reminders. Thanks to these reminders, your client will keep getting notifications up until they do what you need them to do. And we talked about these in our other webinars, but the basic idea is that you'll set up how often and how many times you will want reminders to be sent to your clients to prompt them to do what you need. So you can set it to something like once every week for a month, or you can be more pushy. You can send them out more regularly to motivate them to finish whatever they're supposed to do. Just to confirm, the reminders will, of course, stop early if the client actually finishes their responsibilities. So they're not going to get unnecessary reminders about something that they've already done. So don't worry about that. They will stop automatically. Finally, since both you and your clients can upload files directly to the chat, you'll be happy to hear that they can automatically get saved to either the client uploaded documents or firm docs shared with the client folder, depending on who uploaded the files, of course. So you'll be able to find them both in the Docs tab of the client account, or sometimes, even more conveniently, the Documents tab that's right in the chat. The choice is yours where you want to access them from. So we listed some useful features just now, ranging from archiving, filtering, and adding media, all the way to requesting documents and setting up client tasks. But we haven't talked about the secure part of our secure messages. I'll head to the settings page and then the firm setting tab. At the bottom of the page, you'll find a couple of toggles related to the chats. Let me first explain one thing here. The system-generated emails are different from the emails you send manually or as part of your automations. These are sent directly from TaxDome and not you. They are used for email notifications. Therefore, things like the client receiving an invoice, an organizer, or reminders. So in this section, you can make some simple customizations to those notification emails. This is mainly meant to allow you to include your firm information into the footer of those emails. However, the two bottom toggles in this section are directly related to the system-generated emails related to chats. By default, your messages are completely secure, meaning the client will not be able to view the contents of the messages outside of the client portal or the mobile app. So if you share a lot of sensitive information and you don't want that info to be visible in the notification email, then leave these toggles off. However, if you want you or your client to see the contents of the message, well, then you have the ability to enable that. The choice for this is yours, but to clarify this even further, let's just take a look at this example I prepared. I sent the same message twice, but once with the toggles enabled and the other time with them disabled. The difference is quite clear. In one of these emails, you can just see that there is a new message, while in the other, I get to see the message right here. Now let's take a look at the client experience with these messages. Your clients don't use TaxDome to interact with their emails, which is why we didn't show an example for them earlier. But since they have to open up TaxDome to interact with messages, we can take the opportunity to show you how things will work for them. First, we'll start with the client portal, but I'll also show you a recording of how it would work with a mobile app right after. So we'll assume that the client saw the email notification about the message and logged into their portal to see what's going on. They will see the message right in their homepage, so they can just click on it and they'll see the full chat where they can directly reply and upload things if they need to. The user interface looks almost the same as it did for me as the firm. So there's not much that we need to go over here again. It's really simple and very intuitive for them. Additionally, they can also start new chat threads whenever they want, either right here by using this new chat button or from the home page by using this button here. As you can tell, all of this is extremely simple for them, but what if they prefer interacting with you by phone instead of sitting down in front of a computer? Well, for that purpose, we have the client app that they can install. There are even links to it right here on their homepage. Now let me show you now how it works for phones. Since it would be rather difficult to stream from my phone, we're not going to do that today. So instead, just to make it easier, we prepared a short video walkthrough here, and I'll talk you through it as we go. We'll skip the installation part since that's the same as for any app. If they log into the app, they won't even need to rely on the email notifications. Instead, they'll instantly get a push notification on their phone as soon as you message them. They can just open it and they'll see that chat conversation. From the app, they can then do all the same things that they could do in the client portal on their computer. This means reply, upload documents, mark tasks as done, and everything else. So with the app, they not only get to interact with everything in their portal on the go, but they also get a secure type of messenger app that they can reach out to you with, and vice versa. Now, I'm going to switch back to the firm portal in a moment here, but we'll also take another quick break right now so you can get your questions on this topic into the Q&A on the right side of your screen. As I said before, our team is still around. We're ready to help you out. So I'm going to pause for a few seconds and let you take advantage of that and get any questions into the Q&A and allow you to catch your breath for a few seconds. I'll be right back. Okay, everybody, time to jump back into things. So now that we've talked about both emails and chats, we can go over how you'll create automations for sending out emails and chats. If you attended our workflow webinar, you're likely already familiar with the process of adding automations. However, for those of you who aren't quite sure, there's not too much preparation work you have to do to get things up and running. The first and most important thing is that you need a pipeline where you'll add the automations, and then you'll need templates for the emails and chats. Also, as we mentioned earlier, you need to enable the toggle in your settings for email sending. Once you have all of that, you're pretty much ready to rock and roll. Now, I have a couple of pipelines ready, but I'll just pick any of them here to show you how this works. We can go through this with this bookkeeping pipeline right here. Okay. You will think about your own process here, regardless of what service it's for. Think about the points in that process where you would normally want to interact with your client. The average person checks their inbox at least a dozen times per day. So if you automate your communication with them, like I'm going to show you in a moment, It will bring you peace of mind since there's nothing better than regular communication with your clients to accomplish that. And just keep in mind that these emails or messages that you'll be sending out won't be generic system emails, but instead ones that you have created yourself. So you can add as much of a personalized touch with them as you want. It can be something like an introductory email to notify them of the start of the process. Or maybe you can add automations to several stages just to automatically provide status updates to your clients. Now, of course, there are more use cases ranging from requesting important documents all the way to asking for reviews. So this will depend on your personal approach. In my case right here, I already have some stages for this particular process. So all I need to do is click on Edit Automations and add new ones. You'll see a list of all types of automations, but you will either choose Send Email or Send Message, and then just select the template you want to use. At this point, it's already set up and it will send out the template whenever a job enters this stage. But if you use messages, there are a couple more things that we should mention. The first thing is that you can enable reminders for message automations. Then you can decide if you want the message automation to create a new chat thread or not. Now this is useful if you need to send a couple messages as part of your process. So you don't want to have several threads about the same thing. Now last, one more thing to consider is the fact that your message templates that have client tasks can trigger the auto move in stages. So it's a great way to make sure the job keeps moving through the pipelines once the client completes what they had to complete. You can see a bit more info about it on this slide, but if you're not sure what the auto move function is all about and how it works, we're not going to spend time on it now, but instead we will send some articles that go over that in the chat. So please make sure you take a look at those. I would also recommend watching our workflow webinar since the automated workflows are one of TaxDome's best features, and you'll certainly want to have a very good understanding of them and how they're going to help you inside your business. Anyhow, let's get back to today's topic here. So using emails is fine if you're trying to notify your clients of something or just give them updates regarding your progress. But if you want a bit more control over your communication and workflow, then just know that messages give you more flexibility. Now let's move on and talk about firm announcements. If you find yourself in a position where you need to update all your clients about something going on with your firm, we have a function that can help you with that. Let's say you and your team are going to be unavailable for a couple of days since you'll all be going on holiday or attending a conference. You can always send out a bulk email or message to let everybody know your status, but there is an alternative. If we go back to the firm settings and then scroll down to the very bottom, you'll see an option to make client portal announcements. I'll quickly add one here, and then I'll show you how they look from the client's perspective. So let me go ahead here. I'm going to switch back over. Now, I just logged in here, and the first thing I see is the pop-up in the top right, notifying me of an important update. I can click on Read More, or alternatively, even if I don't, the announcement will still be available in the top right of my home page. That way, it will be constantly present for your clients, and they will be certain to know what's going on. Now, just to remove any doubts, these same firm announcements will also be visible in the mobile app. So it doesn't matter where your clients log in, they are going to be in the loop. Before we wrap things up, I do want to bring up two more points that might benefit you. The first one is regarding organizers. Now, we already went over the main ways you'll communicate with your clients, but you might want to use organizers to skip over unnecessary communication. Organizers are built-in forums that you can create or copy from the library. They support different types of questions you can ask and some really useful features like applying tags based on the client's answers, and using conditional logic to only show relevant questions to the clients as they're filling out an organizer. Now, we will post a help article in the chat, so please make sure you take a close look at this as well. You can really benefit from this too. Now, you'll of course want to talk to your clients at some point, but by using organizers, you can collect a lot of information with very little time invested. Now, the last thing that I want to bring up before we go to recap things is the fact that you can make tasks directly out of email notifications. Now, I'll go into my Inbox Plus and find an email notification. You can also filter your list to make it a lot easier. So when I open up these notifications, I'll be able to use this button to create a new task on the spot. There are tons of cases when this can really come in handy. You can receive some information from a client and you suddenly need your team member to reach out to them. Well, what do? You just use this button, assign the task to the team member, and add any details that are necessary. So, besides replying from the Inbox Plus, you can also set things up like this. All right, everybody. Let's take one final break here just to give everybody a chance to send in their questions before we wrap things up. I'm going to pause for a moment, let everybody get those questions in. Again, our team is ready and waiting to help you out, and then we will wrap things up for the day. Okay, everybody, that is our final break for today. Hopefully that gave you plenty of time to get your final questions into the team. So with that, I think we can go ahead now, and we have gone through quite a bit today. You've all been troopers and hopefully find this information extremely helpful. So let's go ahead and recap what we talked about today. We started the webinar by showing the different ways you can communicate with your clients, and then started focusing more on the individual ways for some time during this presentation. We went over everything related to emails, ranging from the initial syncing to the extra options, templates, and then the ways to send and manage emails inside of TaxDome. After covering all of that, we switched our sites to the secure messages or chats and listed all the advantages that came along with them. We also made sure to give you a bit of insight into how the messages work from the client side as well. We then moved on to talk about setting up some automations and the reasons to use one over the other, before quickly going over our announcements function, and then closing things out by showing you an indirect type of communication with organizers, and also one more function relevant only for email notifications. So everybody, I think that was a good amount of info for today. Communicating with clients is a bit more straightforward than other aspects of TaxDome, so we didn't need to spend too much time on the examples, but I hope you found today's lesson very clear. The team was available answering the questions, so I assume that anything that was unclear initially has now been resolved. But if there is something you still want to learn more about, then I would recommend either talking directly to our team, we're always available to help you, or be sure to visit our Help Center or our TaxDome Academy. The Academy has a bunch of courses that go over various aspects of TaxDome. So if you haven't done them yet, we always suggest going through them to make sure you have a great grip on all of the features and functions. I am glad you managed to find the time to join us for another webinar today, and I hope that you'll be joining us for our future webinars as well. If you were following along today, then I assume you managed to keep up with most things, but if you haven't, then don't worry, since it's mostly just a matter of connecting your email to your portal and then setting up email and chat templates. That won't take long at all. The rest of the information was more practical, so you will apply it as you start using the communication tools. That's it for today, everybody. Thanks for making it all the way through. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. Thank you very much for joining us, and I do hope to see you all again very soon. Take care, everybody, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.